This is Tennessee running back Dylan Sampson.
And to me, he's just a unique prospect, 20-year-old, early declare, 22 rushing touchdowns, despite only being 200 pounds. And that's what makes him so unique. He's small, but he's a really good inside zone between tackles rusher and short yardage situations. He was electric. Listen to this one. He had 36 short yardage opportunities last year. He converted 33 of them into first downs, despite being 200 pounds. His vision, his tempo, his lower center of gravity, all to me is top tier. So he's actually one of my favorite running backs that I've watched this far, and it did catch me by surprise.
Wow, the U word being thrown out in the first 30 seconds. That's going to make this conversation really interesting. As you said, a ridiculous 258 carries this past season for nearly 1,500 yards and 22 touchdowns in 2024. A 4.42 40 at 5'8", 200 pounds. He turns 21 in September. Extremely young, 49th percentile vert, 76th percentile broad jump. I'll lay this out too, because whenever I see a prospect goes to Tennessee, whenever I talk about the Volunteers offense, those fans get super emotional and in their feelings about it. It's all inside runs off of pullers or a single pulling block. You hit the crease and you break upfield, and a linebacker is diving to hopefully snatch your ankles. And like, that's the same thing over and over and over again. Now, they did run some, I thought, heavier personnel stuff than maybe I was accustomed to when looking back in 2023 and the year before that against NC State. We saw it against Oklahoma, Alabama, all of the sort. But I would love to hear more of why you really, really like Dylan Sampson as a prospect.
Yeah, I had unique scheme as well in there. Only 3 under center carries. There's some screenshots I've posted, but there's only 4 defenders in the box. So you see the wide receiver so far away. They're in 2 high shells, and he has a lot of room to operate. Now, there was a lot of plays where there was less room to operate, and he's running right at you. And I just thought that his ability to finish through contact was super impressive. I think his balance was awesome. But to me, the best traits, it's the vision in the tempo, and he kind of uses those things together where he's not just completely hitting the throttle at all times. And he talked about this in an interview that I listened to. He's like, yeah, the NFL, there's been a lot of speedsters, but you have to be able to control and manipulate the tempo.
Football is a game of like how to manipulate speed.
Yeah.
Not just about how fast you are. Like, we've seen a lot of fast guys just really not make it in the league, you know, but I feel like if you have the ability to manipulate your speed and just kind of mess with defenders, that's when you could become like effective.
And I thought he does that really well. And then on top of that, he does have pull away speed. We saw that at his pro day where he ran in the low to mid 4.4s. So he's got above average athleticism, and he's 200 pounds, but he's really short. And he's like actually got a pretty stocky build. And I think that's one of the reasons why, more like kind of built like the Ray Rice types, where you're so short, but you can actually kind of handle a bigger workload. And I just thought that his vision kind of stuck out for somebody being as inexperienced. He's a 1-year starter, only 20 years old. And to me, like, it takes a lot of reps for these guys to learn the tempo and the vision, the cutback lanes. And the fact that he did that in his first year, I thought was super impressive.
I don't want to simplify what he does, but I don't know if I can get behind like the vision standpoint, because when you're talking about cutting off blockers, it's if his butt's this way, you cut this way. If his butt's outside, then you cut off there. And like everything is almost between this tackle box, where it's not as much, you know, wide zone, outside zone, when it really is making these 4 choices. For him, it's like following his guy and cutting off of it. I totally agree with you when it comes to his contact balance in those tight spaces, because that's like a phone booth that you work in. And he almost loves this spin move to get out of these tackle attempts and to gain yards towards the end as well. His stats don't back up the long speed that he showed as well. On 10 plus yard runs, that was at 14.7%, which is very solid. When you get to 15 plus yard runs, that's only 6.6%, which I think is the lowest of any running back we've discussed so far. And then 20 plus yard runs, that's at 4.3%. He was 6th most missed tackles forced in this class, which is exactly what we discussed. I guess my question to you is, we've seen 2 backs in this offense over the last 2 years. Who do you like more, Jalen Wright or Dylan Sampson?
I like Dylan Sampson. I think that Dylan Sampson has an opportunity to be a starter, like a go-to option, somebody that can handle 15 plus touches. I don't think that Jalen Wright necessarily did that. Now, to me, they are totally different. Like, Jalen Wright, in terms of the raw speed, does stand out, but I did not think that his vision and his contact balance were nearly as good as Dylan Sampson. So I think it's going to depend on like which stat you're pulling from. Is it just like the explosive plays, then sure, Jalen Wright probably has him beat there. But I do think that Dylan Sampson did a lot more of like the NFL styled runs. Like a lot of the league is inside zone duo runs right at you. And like that's where the Dylan Sampson, to me, the vision does make sense because you are just more or less reading one linebacker and you have a half second to make that decision. And to me, I just did not see a bunch of wasted movement. I think that is really instinctual and you read things out. And you're not seeing like the huge cutback lanes, but they didn't run that much wide zone where you would see that. So yeah, it comes in a different package. And I think that's kind of where the opinions are going to be kind of split out. But I just saw somebody that, despite being 200 pounds, I do think that he could be one of these guys that can handle a much bigger workload than just like the weight would kind of suggest.
Yeah, some of the stats to back up what you just said. He only has a 9.6% stuff rate, meaning a loss of yards or no yards gained at all. That might be the lowest of any running back that we talk about in this class. Again, that also speaks to the lighter boxes. So often you're going to see 5 offensive linemen versus 5 defenders in the box, and that's it. And as long as one of those guys doesn't lose immediately off the snap, then you're going to be given the line of scrimmage. 28% of his rushing yards came against 5-man boxes or less. That is the second highest mark in this class. So like those are easy yards. Those are easy yards based on, the spacing that the Volunteers put out there for you. Anything about his receiving game, because just some other stats, 40 receptions over the last 3 years. And if we talk about just touches overall, he did have 4 fumbles in the final 7 games that he played in the 2024 season.
Yeah, the receiving yards, not really anything there. 31st percentile in career receiving yards. They had this like little flick screen that was kind of unique. Caught a couple swings on the perimeter, a couple screens out there, but not a whole lot. There was a couple option routes where he did create a lot of separation that stood out, but there was not a wide variety of pass game involvement. So that's going to be the projection. So like versus the Kyron Williams types that we've kind of seen, this undersized guy that I think can handle a lot of workload. Those guys were more proven to me as pass catchers, and that's where Dylan Sampson, I didn't see anything where he's for sure can't do it. We just didn't see the Tennessee offense utilize their running backs in that way.
I actually thought he had nice vision as a receiver after the catch, and he caught the ball very easily. As a pass protector, there was a lot to be desired for me. Oklahoma, he lost on an inside pickup, which forced his quarterback off the spot. Another snap, 6 rushed versus 7 pass protecting, and the quarterback got sacked on that very play, and he ended up not touching a single player there. He tends to have like this punch, but then no mirror behind it. Most of all, he kind of just looked indecisive on what his assignment was supposed to be. Some of that can definitely be coaching, right? But if you have this uncertainty about it where you go this way and then you're barely touching someone that is left uncovered, that always pops out to me versus someone that knows exactly where they're supposed to be and to like turn into that protection plan that the offense had.
Yeah, I think that he's not going to be Mr. Pass Protector. Like he's 200 pounds. It's going to be tough for him. So yeah, that offense is just so weird in the pass game. Like you just see so many players like not even running a route. And I don't know how different their pass protection stuff is versus other offenses. I just know that it feels different from watching these guys. So yeah, I think that's going to be the big projection with him. So I see him as a round 3 player for me. The model puts him in the 83rd percentile. I do think that there's some upside with him. I just think that he's being a little bit slept on as a true ball carrier. So if you want to go premium positions early and then your team drafts Dylan Sampson in round 3, I would totally understand that.
My question that I asked you about Jalen Wright versus Dylan Sampson, I'll leave this towards the end of the video. I actually think I'm going to take Jalen Wright just because of absurd athleticism that he brings to the table. And I already know that he's attached to a Mike McDaniel offense. And like that combination, I think can be really, really nice heading into his second year and beyond. But there's many people in your camp who really, really like Dylan Sampson as a top 75, at least a top 100 prospect in this class.
I'll put him inside my top 75, no problem.
There you go. All right. For all of you new around here, as you can tell, Hayden and I do not share notes ahead of these. So hit that subscribe button, leave a thumbs up, check out more prospect videos here on the channel, mock drafts, everything that your heart's desired. We've got it. And we'll talk to you in the next one. See ya.